Happy summer, everyone. Welcome to the July 2022 Edgewood, Town of Edgewood update.
So there's been so much going on. We were supposed to do another update. We thought we were going to do one every month. I think we've skipped a month because it's been such a tornado around here. But we are getting a lot done. We want to try to update everybody on just exactly what's been going on. And there's so much that we're just going to have to kind of buzz through it.
Give everyone a view of what's happening in each area.
Okay. Well, the Parks and Rec Committee put on that fabulous event right on Memorial Day, which was just a really successful and tremendous event. Was happy to see that. They have also, when we got into office, I think you discovered that we had some expiring grants to do improvements that had been on the books for years with Echo Ridge Park, which is our open space. So we put it in high gear and got that done just by the deadline, June 30. So if the town people want to go out and see Echo Ridge Park, you're going to notice there's equestrian gates there now. We fenced the whole thing off so there won't be any more recreational vehicles or four-wheelers buzzing through there. It's going to be a nice facility now for people to use for walking trails, hiking, for horseback.
No fires, right?
Hopefully no fires.
I think there were some people trying that, but we were able to stop that from happening during the very dangerous time when everything was so dry. Luckily, we've had rain, so
yeah,
that's a very good thing.
So another one that I'm aware of is the sewer plant. We have, when we took office, the permit capacity, operating capacity of the plant had been downgraded by the New Mexico Fire Department by 50% because of the constant violations that were happening with effluent. The output of the plant had all kinds of problems. So we're under construction doing the repairs, and now we're going to work on getting that capacity up, because without it, we're not going to be able to hook up many, if any, new businesses. So the next phase is going to be raising the permitted capacity and the actual capacity of that plant. So that's underway. Those first phase improvements are scheduled to be finished by August or September.
And that is on track, because in the past, I know it had been planned since about 2019, 17, somewhere around there. I just remember having the engineers present at a commission meeting and looking at the timeline and going, well, what in the world happened here? Why is this taking so long? But thanks to you and Commissioner Naya and others who have all jumped in, and the engineers, it's moving forward and hopefully timely if supply chain doesn't impact us too badly, and get this sewer plant operational.
And you mentioned some of the people involved, and I'm really happy to see that we're really becoming a cohesive team. We've had Ben Wellbank in there, K.R. Scott, Ralph Hill. There's so many people that have really pitched in, and we're all kind of working together now in a more cohesive way. It was a lot of chaos when we took office, as you know, and we couldn't even find our files sometimes. But things are really getting on track, and I'm happy to see that change.
Yeah, I think that's been going really well. Another great project underway is the water quality treatment facility. And so we were fortunate to receive funding from the legislature on that, about $1.15 million to get that project going. And what I'm so pleased about is not only will it help the Edgewood residents with the quality of their water in their homes, and the businesses as well, because I know that they really suffer from the hard water issues, but also it should help the operations of the wastewater treatment plant.
I think it's going to be huge for that, because our main problem at the sewer plant, as I've learned through this construction process and repair, is there's a tremendous amount of minerals in the water. It's so hard that it precipitates out or separates from the water in the plant facility, and the calcium carbonate is grinding everything up. So it's caused a lot of repairs and constant failures, and that would be probably the biggest improvement of the water treatment plant. I know many citizens talk about, it ruins your pipes, it ruins your appliances, it tastes bad, but really the damage to the town is enormous from the sewer plant facility, so that'll change that as well.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. It should help the operations quite a bit, and it's something that the town has always struggled with. And unfortunately, just millions have been poured into the repairs and maintenance of that plant. And even the previous council was considering whether to just scrap the plant and redo a whole nother one for what, $6 to $12 million, I think the PER said. And so, to me, that would just be a waste, as well as condemning Epcor for probably the same amount, if not more. Why not just invest those funds, taxpayer dollars, into treating our water? And even engineers have said that it's some of the worst water in the state for, the MBR plant. So
Yeah, this is a great idea, really. I mean, it's killing two birds with one stone. As you say, we can spend $6 or $8 million on a new plant and still have hard water, or we can spend probably $4 to $5 million on a water quality plant, fix the sewer plant and simultaneously, and have decent water for the citizens.
yeah. And actually, it could. The estimates are coming in a little higher with all of construction and everything coming into play here, inflation and just restrictions on supply. But we'll see where that goes, and look into what needs to be done, doing the feasibility study and updating the previous PER too.
Yeah, there's also COVID gouging going on, which we've experienced some of, and I think everybody has. I mean, anybody who's trying to get anything done just costs a lot more money right now. And that we're actually the first public governing body in Edgewood to really address this issue, to take it on, because it's been a problem. At the last meeting, you heard from the citizens, there were some people there that were expressing a lot of concern and disappointment with the water. They had just moved here, they're not used to this, and nobody is. I mean, we have such hard water here. I think it's something like 10 times harder than what they have in Paco. Probably 20 or 30 times harder than what they have in Albuquerque.
It's pretty bad. And I know it just struck me as we were having meetings in 2018 and 19 about Epcor and the condemnation that the previous mayor wanted to do. And everyone that was coming in was not in favor of condemnation, first of all. But second of all, the only negative comments, if you want to call it that, was really about the water quality and the issues that the residents were having. And I know we have them ourselves, so that impacts businesses as well. So hopefully this is on the right track and we can move that along. It's a huge project.
The other thing was, when we were in Parks and Rec, I forgot about the Edgewood 7 Trail, which has been designed to a degree, conceptual design for many years, but we now have the engineering design plans up to a level where we can pretty soon go out to bid and actually start building that trail. And that trail will come from all the way from Echo Ridge Park and connect up under I-40 to the existing trail that runs along the west side of 344, all the way down here to section 16. To the recreational facilities. So that's another exciting project. And as you know, we've heard mostly about trails, water, and roads. And so we're addressing
youth recreation
program. So I'm going to let you talk about that, because all those programs when we got in office had been allowed to just kind of disintegrate and were dead, for many, many years before we got in office. And all of those, I'm happy to say, people have really pitched in. So would you tell us about those?
Sure, yeah. So like you said, when we took office, things were pretty much dead around here. There was no one here, no activity, just a couple of staff people here at Town Hall. And again, it's really, really come alive, and it's so exciting to see. A big part of that has been the volunteers with Parks and Rec. And so Parks and Rec, as you mentioned, did a really excellent event for Memorial Day for the veterans and the Purple Heart Trail, Purple Heart Town designation. And so also they've been working really hard on the YES program, the Youth Events for Summer program. And I believe we have around 60 kiddos that have been, kind of in and out in the different weeks and here at Town Hall, so that's been great to see the kids.
It's been a lot of fun to watch them. They come have lunch in the little courtyard right outside our office there and running around in the playgrounds. Another big event that really shocked me was the chief put on this junior police academy, which is a way of introducing young children to the idea of it's a career path that they might want to follow. And it was overwhelmingly successful, and I mean overwhelming. We had to give up some of our office space. We took over the clerk's office because we just didn't have enough room. There were 85 enrollees in that program.
That's
It
great.
was a huge success. And before we came into office, the planning director position had been vacant for several years in Parks and Rec. But the Parks and Recreation Committee, Citizen Committee, was virtually disbanded during that time. So I'm really happy to see all this activity and talk about citizen involvement. One of our goals, we wanted an open, transparent, ethical government for the people, but also a reflection of what the public wanted, which is what government should be.
Right, and we also have that happening with the Animal Welfare Advisory Board, and I think that they're doing a great job in taking a look at the volunteer handbook, policies and procedures, and the ordinance as well. So.
You know, that's a hard project to get an animal control ordinance that really works. It isn't too invasive for people, but actually does that. Because I know barking dogs are one of the biggest complaints. I see it all the time on Nextdoor and other places. I've experienced it in my own neighborhood. It can really ruin the quiet enjoyment of your property. So right now, what's on the books, as I understand it from the animal control people, is not enforceable the way they've set up the barking dog ordinance, because you'd have to sit out there and film it for an hour. You know, so, and when an officer drives up and observes it, it kind of sets the dog off anyway, and then they say it doesn't do that when you're not there. So we're going to figure that out. It is a big challenge, but I think we're going to figure it out.
We've had a lot of meetings, a lot of commission meetings, and I think they've been very successful. And we promised, coming into office that we were going to do the work that it took to address issues, and I think that we've been moving things along at a really quick pace.
Very fast pace. I mean, really, if I had to compare it, I would say we've done more in the first 6 months than the last administration had done in the previous 4 or 5 years. And we've been very successful in finding a really good town manager, Scott Sensilar, who will be starting this month, and a new town clerk, Robert Serrano, both of whom, you've interviewed them, we've met them, we've talked with them at length. I'm very excited about them. I think they're going to do a great job for us. They want to be here.
Right.
Which is different than some town managers who go from town to town just because that's where their paycheck or career path is. But both of them have expressed a strong interest in wanting to live here and be a part of this community.
Oh, absolutely. They both have very specific reasons for wanting to be here, and that's great. Part of it for the clerk is the growth that Edgewood is experiencing. So we have things like the Champion Car Wash coming in, Whataburger, Starbucks, and a number of other things as well, even subdivisions.
There's a car wash that wants to locate here. And of course, I think all the men in the community are real excited about Harbor Freight. Nothing like good tools. So it is exciting what's happening, and we're trying to keep the public involved, which has not been any kind of a challenge, which people have just jumped in with both feet. I've been really happy to see that. So what's next for Edgewood?
Well, that's a good question. We still have the tsunami of funding coming toward us. We've applied for funding at the federal level with the federal appropriations, and so Senator Lujan's office has been working with us through that process, and I think it's Congresswoman Stansbury's as well for the drainage issues, right? So we have two major projects that could come through on the federal level. One would be drainage that hopefully would help Church Street project, and then secondly, the water quality treatment facility. So let's see where that goes and see if we actually get the appropriations or not. That would be great.
There was another appropriation that we were able to get for almost $600,000 for new trails. So, and that's exciting to me. I know people here that don't have the option of multi-use trails, and that's going to change. It's going to be a big improvement. And Edgewood, has a certain, as you said, the Edgewood lifestyle. So the courses are a big part of the community here, where they're not for a lot of areas. But we'll have these multi-use trails where you can ride horses, you can ride mountain bikes, the kids can hike and bike, and actually maybe get down to the recreational facilities instead of having to come along these narrow paved roads, right? It's dangerous.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that.
We also prioritized several roads projects. So first and foremost, the widening of 344, because that is so narrow and dangerous there, right before the fire station on 344, that bridge. So that whole area needs to be widened, and so that's the number one priority. And then secondly, DOT had brought forward to us years ago plans for interchanges. And the commissioners, we actually prioritized Bassett Road and then secondly Barton Road for interchanges. So we'll see, we don't know if we have that funding or not, but it's on the list.
So we'd like to hear from you, the public, always. We appreciate the input we've been receiving. We want to keep it up. We are going to get a lot of funding, it looks like, so we need to have some input from the public regarding what you all want. And we've had a lot of input regarding trails, roads, and all of that, but the updates on the interchanges, the updates on some of the recreational programs and facilities, if you have ideas for other things, we'd like to hear from you.
So I guess we should give an update on where we're at with the South Complex here on Town Hall campus, I guess you can call it, or the old Edgewood Elementary School. And we did pass a resolution, was it last week, I think?
Yeah.
The commission passed a resolution, a very important resolution, that we are willing to cover the costs and repairs and maintenance of the South building, and hopefully work with intergovernmental cooperation with the district on a lease, a purchase, or accepting donation of that building.
And all of that is in an attempt to save that building, because you may have heard, you may not have heard, the school board has actually voted to tear down the south half of this Edgewood Elementary complex, which had been promised by the school board years ago to be used as a community facility for Edgewood. We've been using it that way. The youth programs have been run out of there. There was a pre-K in there up until June 30, pre-kindergarten school, which serves a great function here for people. That it's also like a daycare, but it provides some educational and social opportunities for the kids before they start school.
Early childhood education is just really key. It's really key.
So they have voted to tear it down, and this commission is doing everything that we can do in order to try to keep that from happening. We've offered to take it off their hands. We've offered to pay for the maintenance costs. The pre-kindergarten was paying enough to pay for their insurance costs. So they were kind of at break even on that. So the big rush to tear down that building has been somewhat of a puzzle to us, because as a contractor for most of my career, I've toured that building, and there's minor aesthetic things that I would, paint, touch up, like replace a door and a window here and there. The roof had a few leaks that have been let go for years, but that's just kind of gross negligence on the part of the school board. They just didn't want to maintain that building. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's probably worth about $14 million to replace that facility. I say a couple $100,000 would put it in tip-top serviceable condition. So we want to save that building, and you might want to pay attention to this, to get updates on this. I've seen updates on Ion Edgewood and next door and a few other places. And we're going to be posting some on our own website.
They did talk about asbestos. Did anything come out of that?
As near as we can tell, there's very little of any asbestos anywhere in that building. And I've got a remedial license to remove it and to remediate it. And there is no danger in asbestos when it's part of the fiber of, say, the floor tile. When it's built in. It's when you take a grinder or sander and start disturbing it, and certainly demolition would do that. So there's no problem where it is now. If they start tearing down that building, they're going to have to take special steps to do it. But the main point is, it's really a waste of taxpayer money. We all paid for that. Our property taxes here paid for those buildings.
Yeah, and we get requests for meetings on this topic frequently, like the AYSO, other sports leagues, the Chamber, the Arts Alliance, the Junior Police Academy could have utilized it. The YES program definitely could have utilized it, because there's a great gym. I mean, it's perfectly usable, so.
And the strange thing is, as a community, Edgewood represents about 50% of the population of the school district. And we have asked, the commission has asked to meet with the school board and just to openly discuss and debate and brainstorm ideas on how to best use this facility, and have absolutely been stonewalled. So they won't even talk to us about it. I think we're going to have to work on our relationship with the school board, and the public can help with that, because we all, just like our government is a reflection of the will of the people here, the school board should absolutely be that way. Your children are at stake here, and that's a huge stake to have. You should have some say in that.
That's right, and the representatives really should be listening to the people and voting along the lines of the will of the people. And instead, we hear complaints about who do those Edgewood people think they are telling us what to do.
Yeah, and I attended one of their meetings and answered that question the best I could. These are the parents of the children in the pre-K that you're kicking out of that facility. They're the parents of the children that you're supposed to be serving. They are residents of Edgewood. They're 50% of your constituency within your entire school district.
It's probably more.
Yeah, probably more than that. But if you agree with us that you want to save that building, feel free to give us a call at Town Hall. We can stay updated on our website, the town website, because we will be discussing this issue more. Thanks for tuning in to another Edgewood update. As we said, we're going to be putting these out regularly. We skipped one, but we got busy with that. But we will be doing that, and feel free to call Town Hall anytime if you have any questions, or if there's anything we can do. And come to our public commission meetings, which we've been having every Tuesday. The regular ones are on the first and third Tuesdays of the month, but we've been having them pretty much regularly every Tuesday. Come, voice your opinion, and see what's going on, and be a part of what's happening with Edgewood, your community. Thank you.